I refused to go to the family vacation Bastion on the islands because my sister Iris tried to ultimatum me into coming to her place at 3 a.m. to take over as the babysitter. On all family outings, I was constantly forced into the role of assistant and night watchman. I had to move out of my parents' house right after graduating from university because I was constantly forced to look after my 3 nephews. Last summer, we went on the annual beach vacation. I traveled with my parents and they paid for my room. Only I had to share that room with 3 unruly boys because Iris and her husband Liam apparently wanted privacy. I was promised that I would have time for myself on this vacation, but in the end, I was constantly tied to the children. I complained to everyone, and I was immediately reminded that I was here for free, so I had no right to complain. We were only able to do one thing that I wanted: visit the Maritime Archaeology Museum. I love places like that on the coast, but naturally, for the nephews, it was deathly boring. This year, my parents planned a trip to Roxbury Beach in June and defaulted to the assumption that I would go under the same arrangement. I refused. I stated that I would drive my own car and pay for my own room to have my personal space. My parents were shocked and tried to remind me about the expenses. I said that was not a problem. I have a great job in IT and a reliable car. I can afford it. That's when the pressure began. I repeated all the reasons above, explaining why I would drive and pay for myself. I wanted to enjoy this vacation as an adult and not be treated like a servant, as I was last year. My parents immediately reported this to Iris, and she called me, throwing a fit. She declared that I would ruin the vacation if I was busy with my own things while she had to manage on her own with her 3 sons. I finally yelled at her, saying that last year she only dragged me into her chaos. I was practically unable to do anything I wanted, and I was made out to be the villain for just wanting to go to a museum. I am a grown man, Iris. I deserve my own vacation too. Now my sister isn't speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to convince me to just go with them for the sake of family peace. I am standing my ground, but the pressure is mounting. Am I wrong for not giving in? I understand it will be hard for them without extra hands. Barely an hour passed since my initial online post, but Iris, apparently, browses forums in the morning and she saw it. She's not just furious, she's irritated that no one in the comments took her side. In short, she launched into a grandiose monologue about how hard it is to be a mother of triplets, and that I could at least help, since I'm young, single, and she needs a break. I refused to change my decision. Now she's calling our parents to drag them into it again. I'm expecting a call from them any minute. Iris dragged our parents into it. They read my post and were horrified by the relentless stream of comments. Yes, they are very angry at me for taking this online. But I told them, if you had listened to me from the beginning, I wouldn't have had to do this. I am fed up with this peacekeeping that is always achieved at the expense of my sacrifice to please my sister. They, in turn, lashed out at Iris. In short, the entire vacation was canceled. The hotel hadn't been booked yet, but my parents are now arguing with Iris. My sister is blaming me, and the nephews are crying because they're not going to the beach. Iris called me at lunchtime and essentially hinted that I don't have a personal life, so I have time to help. I recorded that call, informed my parents about it, and it became the main subject of their dispute. I wasn't planning on writing more, but here's a little update. My parents promised that they will never again impose the role of babysitter for my nephews on me. They acknowledged that last year's vacation was unfair to me. They are now very angry at Iris for her comments about my non-existent life. My sister is playing the victim, and Liam, her husband, has withdrawn, spending most of his time at work. My parents and older sister got used to me providing free care for the triplets. I didn't move out of the house until I was 22 because I was trying to save money while attending university. My scholarship and part-time job covered a lot, and living at home saved me from growing debt. I am grateful for that. However, after university, everyone decided I had endless free time and convinced me to go on that family vacation. During this so-called vacation, I was forced to look after my then 6-year-old nephews. I even shared a room with them, and believe me, those kids didn't listen for anything until I called their mother twice. I was made out to be selfish for wanting to do my own thing. The hypocrisy was off the charts. If the family as a whole doesn't like it, it doesn't happen. I am part of the family too, and I wasn't included in that vote. I voiced these complaints to my parents, and they admitted they were wrong. After that terrible vacation last year, I decided it was time to move out. I did it before the summer ended, without warning, which surprised everyone. I got a great job right after my internship and used the move as an excuse to shorten my daily commute from 45 to 15 minutes. Iris hated this the most because it meant the end of the free weekend babysitter. But she still tried to manipulate me. Sometimes I gave in, usually with a pizza bribe. This became the new norm. And then, last month, my parents announced the new vacation to the same place. I immediately saw the trap. I knew if I went with them and allowed them to pay for the room, I would be dumped on again. I simply casually stated that I would drive myself and pay for myself. That's when the storm began. When my parents realized they couldn't lure me, they turned to begging. Iris nearly ordered me to go with the flow using gaslighting. Newsflash, I didn't fall for it. After I refused to yield to Iris, I wrote a post on AITA after several days of harassment. Iris noticed it in less than an hour. Chaos ensued. Initially, the family was against me. Iris called my parents, and they called me when I still had time in the morning. My parents were talking to me on the phone, reading my post. I asked if there was a single word of lie in it. They tried to circumvent it, calling it an exaggeration, but I pointed out the numerous details that were absolutely accurate. Then, I told them to check the comments. There were already too many to read. I was continuously refreshing the page on my home PC and telling them the count. Then I declared that I was tired of their peacekeeping mentality, at the expense of forcing me to indulge Iris. I said I was out of time, and we would continue later. My parents were horrified by the hundreds, if not thousands, of comments that came in within hours. I later told them the number had doubled and was still growing, which only amplified their shock. It seems they finally had to look at their own actions. Iris tried to reach me at work, but my phone was on silent. She left messages and texts, but finally got through when I was having lunch. The essence of the conversation, my post swayed our parents to my side, and now they are angry at her. In the ensuing argument, my parents canceled the entire vacation. They later admitted that they initially tried to shift the blame due to their embarrassment and fully accepted their mistake. They said no excuses could hide the fact that they made me their free on-call babysitter, even when I no longer lived at home. They tried to argue that they didn't charge me rent while I was studying. I reminded them that children don't ask to be born, and I did my best to get on my feet. Then I pointed out that my father received the same support from his parents. This ended all arguments. When Iris got through to me, I laid out the facts. She showed her true self. She hinted that I have no personal life and that my free time should be spent helping her because she is tired and can't leave the house without the kids. She's a stay-at-home mom with a husband who earns well and lives in their own decent house. My nephews are not my responsibility. Iris angrily hung up, but I recorded the call and later played it for my parents. They were furious and essentially declared war on my sister. Iris dug in, blamed me, and doubled down on her belief that my life should revolve around hers. I told her that was the most narcissistic and arrogant statement she had ever made. It took a few days, but Liam, her husband, finally intervened and made her apologize. I had never seen her so subdued. She was on the verge of tears. It turned out that one of the reasons I was the on-call babysitter was that Iris didn't trust strangers. Or was it not just that? It turned out Liam thought Iris was paying me for the time I spent with the children after I moved out. In reality, she didn't even give me gas money, only an amount that covered pizza for me and the kids, pocketing the rest herself. Iris had been stealing from me for several months. When this came out during her rambling apology, Liam exploded at her. She was forced to repay me the debt in cash from her own savings, and she looked very displeased. Then Liam apologized for his inaction and promised they would hire a normal nanny. Yes, it will hit their budget a bit, but Iris will get her date nights. There was a family meeting the other evening. We gathered at our parents' house. All the cards were laid bare, apologies were made, and so on. Then my parents reinstated the vacation. And yes, I am still going by myself and paying for my own room. I am even prepared to stay at a different hotel if Iris tries to impose childcare on me again, and I stated this clearly. She promised that wouldn't happen. Iris called me demanding that I delete my posts. She is now even more upset, realizing how far it has spread. Having people in your family who know about your online account has its drawbacks. Yesterday, she called to ask if comments were still coming in. She can't handle the negativity by reading them herself. I was perfectly honest. At least 10 comments arrive daily, and most of them say the same thing about her. She cried and demanded I delete the posts. I refused. I told her she could complain to anyone she wanted, but the posts remain because they are my guarantee that she won't treat me like dirt anymore. When I mentioned that the posts had already spread to other sites, and there were even videos reading them aloud, Iris shrieked and hung up. Then my parents called, begging me to delete the post. I refused and stated that I only did it because they didn't stand up for me. This wouldn't have happened if they had told Iris to treat me as an equal, not a servant. I am not her butler, not her nanny, and not her handyman. I am her damn brother and a grown man. Wouldn't you be sick of this shit in my place? They agreed, but still begged me to delete the posts. I refused and threatened to write even more if they didn't start supporting me when Iris comes to them in tears. Let her deal with her own mess. All their indulgence led to this. I am not the father of these children. I have my own life, career, and hopefully a girlfriend soon. I am moving forward and I will not be stopped. This made my mother cry. My father just fell silent. I said, tears won't move me. You know what you need to do to stop this. Stop indulging Iris. Iris called me again to scream that our parents told her they would no longer intervene, and she had to deal with it herself. Oh, and they told her to be nicer to me. I could literally imagine her eye twitching when she heard, "Be nice to your little brother." My sarcasm drove her to tears too, and she hung up. Liam called later to hear my side. He was angry that I was still publishing and drove his wife to tears. But I explained everything to him. He said he would talk to Iris again. I hope this drama is finally over, but the family vacation is still scheduled for the end of June. I have already booked my room and taken the day off so we can leave on Friday. My room is not near the one where my parents, sister, brother-in-law, and nephews will be. In fact, it's not even on the same floor. When we go to the coast, I will be doing what I want. Rest assured, I will be going to museums, gorging on local cuisine, and simply enjoying my freedom. The vacation is over. Some things, good and bad, went as planned. The good: my parents did not indulge Iris's attempts to make me babysit. The bad: Iris still tried to find out my room number, but failed, which again drew her husband's anger. First, I warned the hotel in advance. Do not give out any information about me to anyone. They assured me. On the day of departure, I left earlier than everyone else. Knowing they couldn't get ready before 10 a.m., I left at 9. I sent a general message, FYI, I've left, and took off. My parents were upset because they planned a family brunch on the way, but I pointed out that I hadn't been informed, so the brunch was canceled in favor of my plan. I arrived at the hotel too early, but but immediately went to the front desk to make sure they wouldn't give out my information. When they would face my mother, sister, and 3 screaming boys trying to gild them, they shouldn't give in. They awkwardly promised that only I would have access to my room. When I returned after lunch, my parents and Liam's cars were already in the parking lot. I went to check in, making sure the lobby was clear. I asked the administrator if my family had been looking for me. Yes, they had, but the clerk refused to tell. Iris tried to pressure them, but Liam restrained her. I checked in, went up to my room, and called my parents. I didn't mention that I knew about their attempt at the front desk, and they also kept quiet about it. She avoided contact with me all evening. I finally stopped caring about taking the elevator with them. I bluntly told them, "No one knocks on my door unless it's an emergency." I hung the "Do Not Disturb" sign for a reason. The last day was great. Neither my sister nor my mother bothered me. They completely gave up. Yes, I played with my nephews a bit during the vacation. I'm not a complete monster. I remain fun Uncle Caleb, but not Uncle Manny. The kids just wanted to play. I even bought each of them a bag of polished stones from the museum as a souvenir. There was a little drama between Iris and Liam, but those were minor arguments that I ignored. Overall, I consider this vacation a victory. My mother and sister finally realized that the old system in which I was their servant is over. I have my own life. My mother and sister saw my last post. "Hi, Mom. Hi, Sis. I warned you." In short, my mother and sister saw my post and panicked. Iris was stalking my account, knowing I would write. What did she expect? That I would say everyone had a great time? She called me and cried that I made her look like a bad mother. I replied, "Well, if the shoe fits." She tried to argue, but I asked her to name one lie in the post. She tried, but I pointed out that every detail was accurate. What does she do? Calls Mom. My mother came to me, demanding I delete all the posts. I refused, stating that now I have ammunition for another post. I made her leave in tears. Later, I spoke to my parents on the phone and bluntly said their indulgence led to the former family dynamic. I will never return to how things were. My parents told Iris, for heaven's sake, to stop blaming me and leave me alone. They can't handle the stress of my backlash. Iris threw a tantrum about nobody loving her, and my parents had to bring her back to reality. Liam didn't call, probably trying to remain neutral. Out of respect for him, sorry bro, but your wife pushed me to the limit. My parents are insisting that Iris go to counseling because she can't be a mother while simultaneously clinging to her old habits. I hope this is my last post. Do you hear that, little sister? If you don't stop thinking I should be your personal slave, nanny, watchman, etc., and stop acting like the whole world is against you, we won't be able to be around each other. Treat me like a person and all this will end. I maintained anonymity. I have the right to vent. My mother cried again. My father fell silent. I said, tears won't move me. You know what you need to do. Stop indulging Iris. Iris called me again to yell. She screamed that our parents told her they won't deal with this anymore, and she has to figure it all out herself. Oh, and they told her to be nicer to me. Liam called later to listen. He was angry, but I explained everything. He said he would talk to Iris again. My parents and I had a long talk. They apologized and we agreed that I would keep my distance until Thanksgiving. Last night, I had a man-to-man talk with Liam over beer. He told Iris she needs counseling or he will leave. They're looking for a therapist. He confessed that while Iris has been an absolute witch toward me, at home she is a loving wife. But she admitted she liked being an only child. There is almost a 10-year age difference between us, and Iris has harbored resentment for a long time. She agreed that she needs help. They have also found a qualified nanny. Liam admitted that he was angry at me but didn't intervene when I needed him. We agreed that it was a very bad situation that needs to be left in the past. And finally, these posts brought me a girlfriend. The girl I liked suspected it was me after reading them and was just waiting for me to speak up. We have our first date tonight. Thank you all for the incredible support. I needed it.